know it's easy. It's easy like Sunday morning. You know it's easy. It's easy like Sunday morning.
Yeah. Chris doing little Lionel Richie. Lionel Gonzalez. You wanted more, didn't you? No. Fun's over right now. But there's a line in that song we got to talk about. I mean, obviously we featured it. It was a big hit for Lionel Richie and the Commodores. Easy like Sunday morning. And it raises a question to me, I think, is it supposed to be easy like Sunday morning? Kicking off a 3-week series. Now, today, first Sunday of August, first 3 Sundays of August, we want to talk about this. Because easy like Sunday morning, to me, creates a monster question. Is everything about Jesus supposed to be easy? And it kind of gives birth to another question. If it's easy, to me, everything easy pretty soon becomes boring. At some level, have we dumbed down Christianity? At some level, have we dumbed down Jesus? At some level, have we dumbed down discipleship? I think too many Christians have gotten bored. And they're frustrated because they just believe in Jesus. What if the real Jesus, his promises, is way more than easy? What if his promises are way more than just believing? Here's the weird statement of the day. You got to kind of hang on to this. People could possibly believe they believe something they don't really believe. I'm going to do that again because it's kind of convoluted, but hang with me. People could possibly believe that they believe something that they don't actually believe. Let me define that. Let me give you some examples. Do you believe it's important to eat right and exercise? Do you believe spending time with your family should be a high priority? Do you believe saving money is something you should do? I think all of us are going to go, yeah. Yet, most would say, I believe eating right and exercising is vital, but the appetizers are 2 for $1 today. And the gym is so far away, I'm really busy. I believe spending time with my family is important, but I just got a promotion that requires me to work weekends and evenings. I believe saving money is necessary, but I went more into debt to upgrade to a newer car. I think the frustration begins to happen in life when our beliefs don't line up with our behavior. I posit that people who declare Christ in their life have no problem with belief. And then Jesus comes along and says, now follow me. Connect your behavior with the belief. And that's where it gets a little tough. Because belief, frankly, is kind of easy because believing has an end. I believe, done. Following has no end. And too often, when we talk about this behavior and being a disciple and following, it comes across a little bit burdensome. I think I want to explore this in a personal way, my own life. And I think you'll be able to identify very quickly with what I mean. Understand this, kind of being open with you. I'm ashamed how many things that were going to be a part of my life ended up in storage. I saw the commercial Solo Flex when it first came out. 30 minutes a day. And I can look just like the male model in those promo pictures. I bought the machine. I got 30 minutes a day. In 1 year, I will look just like that guy. I put it in the middle of my basement. I mean, it's always a reminder. I couldn't go downstairs without walking around it. I did it. I did the program faithfully every single day, 30 minutes for a couple of months. That's been years ago. Look at me now. Let me give you another episode. 24 years ago, I came to be your pastor. There was this wonderful reception. Meet the new guy. He had dark hair and he's skinny, whoever that kid was. 24 years ago, I came. Laymen, of course, all came, wanted to meet me and Tammy. And I made this terrible mistake because I didn't realize you didn't know me yet. And you didn't know my biting sarcasm, that fast wit that you have so appreciated now. In that evening, I met Chuck and Martha Craycraft. They became wonderful friends, and I missed them terribly when he retired and went to Arizona. But I got off on the wrong foot with Chuck Craycraft. I did not know he was the golf coach at Valpo High. I did not know how much Chuck loved golf. I did not know how important golf was to Chuck Craycraft. He met me for the first time. He asked if I would like to go golfing with him. I said, absolutely. I never golfed in my life. And then I said, I love golf. I played the same course in Virginia Beach where he came from. I played the same course over and over and over. But the 7th hole, it's that windmill that messed me up. When it dawned on him, I thought it was funny. And you laughed? How creative is that, huh? I thought he would think it was funny too. He just walked away. I think he was disappointed he voted for me to be his pastor. As time went on, we became, as I said, great friends. But a thought did hit me. I should learn to play golf. So many pastors at pastors' retreats, they all go golfing. I never click with those guys. Maybe it'd be a good thing I could begin to bond with the golfing pastors. Go to retreats, it'd be so cool. I get the clubs out of the trunk. Maybe I'll get the golf clothes, those really bright green slacks. Shoes with little spikes. I don't want to slip when I putt. When I arrive, it would be such a healthy way. And when I retire, it'd be a blessing to Tammy. I'll never hear her pray, Lord, get him out of the house. I'll go golfing. And I thought, this is perfect. Chuck Craycraft is here. I got a resource right in my church. Chuck would love to teach me to golf. After all, he's the high school coach. He's an expert at teaching people how to golf. I'd be a fool to not take advantage of this opportunity. So yeah, Chuck took me out and about twice a week for about an hour. Now my brother-in-law is an avid golfer. He was so excited I'd pick up the game. He bought me my first club, a putter, kind of welcome to the game, a gift from the family. I had my putter. I was on my way. I got to tell you, golf was easy. I was great. Okay, now the truth. You know, on TV, it looks so easy. You ever try it? It's hard. And I was terrible. You line up the ball. I would take this terrible swing and look for it. It's still there. I'm saying, what are you doing down there? Used to be 400 yards down the thing. And after I got to where I could hit the ball, it never went straight. I don't know if it's a hook or a slice, but I hit home runs in left field. I was on Waverland Avenue. Every single shot, I would bang. And I thought, well, if I go golfing, I could play it. If I want the hole's there, I'll just line up like this. But then people over there would be diving for cover. Guess who gave up golf? I think the putter is somewhere in an attic next to Soloflex. Don't look down at me. You got the same stories. Same stories. Storage of junk, monuments of endeavors that never did pan out. In your attic, you got a permanent resting place. You got scrapbook supplies. You got golf clubs. You got a scuba gear that never saw water. Think about the passion you had when you thought, this is going to be part of my life. And it just didn't pan out. It's a resting place gone. Here's the sentence. Passionate commitment without patient persistence leaves a graveyard of unfulfilled dreams. That's a long sentence. I want to hear you hear it again. Passionate commitment without patient persistence leaves a graveyard of unfulfilled dreams. So what happens when we begin this relationship with Jesus and it gives way to the humdrum of everyday life? Where do you turn when the fire that burns so brightly all of a sudden is an ember? Hobbies that we never saw to completion, that's one thing. At worst, you wasted your time and money. What happens when our faith, when our hope, when Jesus gets put up by the Soloflex? The consequences are more severe. I mean, it's a wasted life. God's gift to you is your life wasted. And we are told scripturally to run to obtain. It's not easy like Sunday morning. 1 Corinthians 9:24. Now that we laid down the foundation, let's get in the word. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one received the prize. So run that you might obtain. We are to run in this talk. Not everybody gets the medal. Run that you might obtain the prize Christ has for you. And running may not be easy like Sunday morning. It may be sweat. Everything worthwhile tends to be uphill. But sometimes we live downhill, we coast. So here's the dirty little secret we got to talk about. Few believers talk about. For so many, believing in Jesus has left me disappointed. Maybe for you, it's more than really disappointed. You're disillusioned. You're cheated. You thought there would be more to this thing with Christ. So far, Jesus has not delivered. Somewhere that richness is gone. Now all I have is obligation. I thought the Jesus relationship would kind of be easy. Easy like Sunday morning. You want the truth, the hard truth? Maybe for you, Jesus has become boring. God's stuff is a little bit now boring. Church, gathering together, has become a little bit boring and an obligation. And to add to this confusion, you see other Christians living this adventure. I mean, really exciting stuff. You hear their stories and you go, how can they do that? They seem to ooze Jesus. And before long, you almost notice there's a gap between their intimacy and power and ours. They must have something I don't have. They must know something I don't know. That power must be reserved for somebody else because for me, it's a little bit boring. We plead inadequacy. Instead of pressing on, we bow out. Instead of pushing through the wall, instead of running, we shrink back. We almost accept it as a reality. Our faith walk will never look like that person. Sorry. That's just the way it is. That's the way I am. And then we get in that pattern. You do something or think something you know isn't God's best for you. You feel a certain level of conviction. You go to God and confess and repent and renew your resolve. And then you do it again. You try but fail and try again and fail again. You repeat and repeat. Hey, this was supposed to be easy. Easy like Sunday morning. You've lived that pattern for so long, you've convinced yourself that's the way things are. That's normal for me, and God understands. He gets me. Of course I believe in Jesus. It's the behavior that follows that gets a little sticky. And the frustration. I don't have the ability to move beyond the destructive patterns. These patterns have a hold on me, and I can't do anything about it. It's just the way I am. Remember, eventually, dangerous patterns, life-sucking patterns can become normal for you. And we buy into the myth that this is the way I am, but I believe in Jesus. I'm just frustrated the way things have turned out. Jesus is on a shelf in my life with the putter and the solo flicks. That's sad. Because a lot of Christians in 2017, they say, man, that's hitting close to home because that's pretty much my testimony. Jesus is kind of in the attic. So obviously, we end up bored Christians. So we got to find a fix. We'll find a new church, a new fix, a new spiritual high, something to show me that I'm not dead. Even though I am bored, the fix is always short term. The pattern just repeats itself because we never address the pattern at the core. And the breakdown is easy to understand. Believing, but the behavior that damages our walk. The key is we understand the what, but we have never really grasped the why. We know what Jesus' life is like. What we're supposed to do as Christians, we get that. We know the what. We're just not positive that we've bought into the why. I want to develop this, but I need to introduce you to somebody. He's a comedian named Michael Jr. And he does his comedy act, but he does something very creative. He takes a break at halftime. He takes a break and says, hey, let's just talk. He talks to the crowd, kind of interacts with the crowd. And then after his halftime conversation with the crowd, he gets back and does his second half of his show. He does videos sometimes. And in the video, he said, I want you to see one of my talks that I had with the crowd. He's going to kind of set it up. But this is exactly where we're going. Take a look at Michael Jr.
How do I know? A lot of people, when they think of the phrase, how do I know, they always want to put the what behind it. How do I know what I'm supposed to do? The question that you really should ask is, how do I know why I'm here? Because when you know your why, your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience. And we've been filming this, and it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm gonna show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now, right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
Let's go. Now. Okay. Here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
That Jesus, the easy Jesus, might only be interested in what? You know what you're supposed to do. Go deeper. The real Jesus takes us to why. Why we love him. Why we worship him. Stop being what I do, because we are designed by God to flourish on earth. Not just get up and go to work, but flourish. You cannot flourish if your whole life is based on what you do. You got to live the why. Why I do the things I do. One problem, I can succeed at the what level. I can be a good parent doing what I'm supposed to do. I can go to church and show up on time. That's what I do. I can make a living. That's what I do. All in the what category, you can have some level of success. It's what I do. But why builds long-term purpose. There is power in the why. And Satan may actually be in love with your what living. There's a little passion for doing what you're supposed to do. I think Satan is terrified of us grasping the why. Churches all across America are dying out because they know exactly what they're supposed to do. And they're living at the what level. And it becomes easy like Sunday morning because it's what we do. Never grasping the why. And why opens the door to power. Why opens the door to blessings. All this leads, of course, to a reasonable issue, a key question. How do I integrate Jesus into my everyday life? How do I gain the why? My problem is I live at the what level Remember, Jesus ends up being background music to my schedule. He's in the corner of my garage. I'll pull him out on Sunday. If there's nothing more exciting happening on Sunday, I'll take that Sunday off. I might even dust off a little prayer, particularly in times of need. Once Jesus becomes disconnected with our everyday life, it's only a matter of time till we're bored with him. Just doing what we're supposed to do. It's all now some kind of spiritual obligation. If we're disappointed in our faith, we are certainly going to be bored. We could be lulled to sleep by our grind of activities. We can lose sight of all of Jesus' promises that transform and revolutionize our very existence. So I challenge us, living in the why. Now that's exciting, and it's not easy. Because I'm convinced the world would like to keep Jesus at a respectable distance. Because if we keep Jesus at a distance, we can control him. And he doesn't control our lives. We can still do what we're supposed to do and keep Jesus at a distance. You cannot live the why with him at a distance. Okay, I'm bored. Where do I go from here? How do I understand the why? I promise we're going to break that down. One more roadblock. There's this roadblock we got to talk about. I'm assuming you want to get beyond the roadblock. I'm assuming you really do want Jesus off the shelf, away from the Soloflex and the putter. Sometimes we get used to him being there. We know we believe in him, but the fact of the matter is we like him there. We get to control him at a reasonable distance. I'm afraid of Jesus controlling you. So before we talk about living the why, having Jesus impacting my entire life every day, we have to ask the ugly question, is that what I want? Or am I satisfied with a whole lot of nothing? But if you want the challenge, you want to experience success in your spiritual walk, not lip service, but really, you begin at the core. We don't have to settle for disappointments. What a rich, satisfying life and walk is available if we want to go get it. It's so sad when believers settle for less. It's so sad when Christians miss out on every single promise that's promised to them. They just never moved on believing. They stopped because believing you stop. I believe. Following is ongoing. They never really considered that Jesus might actually transform my everyday life. If you're spiritually bored, I beg you, turn it around. Take action. Do it before the disappointments only get worse and the frustrations only get worse, because you are not called to a small life. You're not called to a small faith. I've seen the power of Christ alive in lives, in homes. I've seen relationships in ruin rebuilt. I've seen kids running fast, going nowhere in a cycle of sin, find promise and life. I've seen homes of desperation find hope. Remember, every single thing Satan touches, he ruins eventually. Every single thing Satan touches, he ruins eventually. He will certainly try to ruin you. And he may begin that by getting you bored with Christ. The promise is that you've never appropriated. Kicker is, it's not easy. Easy like Sunday morning. Not being easy, sometimes we throw in the towel. Satan loves that. He loves mere belief. Living our whole life merely doing what we're supposed to do. Even reversing the key sentence is still clear. Mere belief leads to a life of only doing the what. Doing the what leads to a life of mere belief. Both ways it works. Belief. Belief is nothing. Jesus said Satan believes. If the enemy can keep you at the belief level, you are so quickly bored by mere belief. Jesus is on a shelf somewhere, and I pull him down if I feel like I want him. He's not part of my life, not actually leading anything in my life. But you are a believer, and you're good at believing. Just your soul is drying up. Here's the hard part. Oh, Gene, more hard parts. The faith journey is seldom a straight line. What I want to challenge you to is 2 steps forward before a step back, not 2 steps back before a step forward. It tends to be mountains and valleys. This faith walk, because it's not easy, because there's discipline, it's not always an exact straight line. Faith seems to be almost be a little bit of an interrupted process. I wish it wasn't that way. Where would we be if we never yielded back to Satan the point we'd already won? Where would we be if we never yielded back to Satan the point we'd already won? But it may be the struggle that's most precious. It may be that it's not easy. That might be the struggle that is, in fact, the precious part of the whole story. That's what the Bible says. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 7. Let's go back in the Word. The trial of your faith. The trial being much more precious than gold that perishes, even though it is tried by fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory and the approach of Christ, of Jesus Christ. It doesn't say the coasting of your faith. The trial of your faith. That faith actually transforms us. It's active. It produces action. Yes, I'm changing slowly, but as I look back, I'm amazed how far I've gone. Yes, I am changing. There are changes going on in my life. I'm running toward a Christ likeness. Understand, failing to do this, rejecting this, is breaking one of the key 10 commandments. The 10 commandments, one of those commandments, do not take the name of the Lord in vain. That's more than cussing. The ultimate, taking his name in vain, might be that we're declaring we're Christ-like when in fact we are not. Take up the challenge. Run. Grasp the why. Being molded more and more and more like Christ. This is why I am on earth. I see progress in my life. I see progress in my home. I see progress in my attitude. I see progress in my family. I see progress in my anger. I see progress in my thought life. I see progress in my arrogance. I see progress in my humility. Bored? No way. I'm on a journey. It's not always easy. But my life now has a purpose. There's a why. I am going forward. I'm not living merely doing what I'm supposed to do. Okay, here's the second part of that. The reciprocal has got to be true as well. If there is no change, if there is no pressing on, if there is no journey, you may merely be believing. And it's a matter of time before you're bored. No, it's not always easy like Sunday morning. Being in the Word, finding that time to be in the Word. That's why VNC has that app where you can go every single day at the VNC app to the Word. Daily going into the Holy of Holy of prayers, stopping my life, going into that time with Him and just pouring out my heart, pouring out my kids, pouring out my parents, pouring out my soul. But there is a realization, there is a great joy, because as this journey continues on, you begin to sense within your gut, it is well with my soul. And there's nothing like that. No day goes by without that communication, because we are working out our salvation. Really? Philippians 2:12. Let's go back in the Word. Therefore, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Working out our salvation daily, daily, daily. And not a word about coasting. There's not even a word there about merely believing. Jesus is no longer pulled out on Sunday. No longer a hobby I tried and got tired. No longer a hobby I tried and got bored with. This life is not to be lived with Jesus in the soloflexatic. Life is so much more than just believing in Him. It is living Him, knowing why I am here, then doing the things that I'm doing. Scripture, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. We're going to break that down more next week. Working out your salvation with fear and trembling. Oh, it's not easy. But we're going to unfold this. Interesting wording, though, isn't it? Working out your salvation. I thought it was a gift. It is. And as Christ comes into our life, we begin to grasp the why. And we never again live our life, this is what I'm supposed to do. Because as we live our life at the what level, I guarantee you're bored. And you feel like there's got to be more to it than this. There is.